What's up, guys? I hope you guys are doing well. Today, I just wanted to talk about the topic of risk, and I'm not talking about risk management. That's already something that I've covered in another video, but more so in terms of risk psychologically. So, risk that we take in terms of time, emotion, things like this, because I think this is something that I don't think, from what I've seen anyway, people have spoken about in depth really, and you may have seen it somewhere out there on like a random motivational quote or something on on Instagram or Twitter or something, or TikTok. But I don't think anyone's really spoken about risk in depth, and it was something that I came to the realization after, well, when I first started getting into trading seriously, which was around at the end of university, my final year. The experience I had was I was essentially came to the realization that I was in my final year and I was doing my work, and that's when it hit me that after finishing university, I'm no longer a student. I'm going to be a proper adult now, going into the real world and doing things by myself. Nothing to handhold me anymore. So that's when I realized I needed to start taking, I need to start taking action. I need to start to just grab life by its head and just make sure I go the direction that I really wanted to go. So, and that's when I really discovered trading, because I had all these experiences in my life where I realised that I've had conversations with people, I've seen the way people have lived, and it just made me think, is this really what I'm going to become? Someone who's going to end up like one of those, sad, miserable, living for the weekend, trading five days of their week for 2 days of freedom. Doesn't make sense to me. So I just wanted to speak about risk in terms of time. So what I mean by that is, obviously with trading, it's the hardest industry, one of the hardest industries in the world to get good at. But the reward of that is it just unlocks everything that you've ever wanted to do, really. It gives you all the freedom that you can ever ask for. It can relieve a lot of pressure off your shoulders and take away a lot of stress. But in order to get to that stage, to that finish line, you have to be able to put in a solid amount of work. You have to graft, you have to really work hard. And that's also going to take a set number of years. In today's world where social media has painted such a bad picture of how trading can be like, with signal services and in general just the attention span of most people, it's just gone down, really. And we can only blame the people out there who are really just making this industry more toxic and more bad than it really is. And that's one thing that I've hated about the trading space for a long time. It's just gone very downhill. And it needs to be a lot better. But without going on that tangent, just want to say that we have to take some level of risk with anything in general. If you want to achieve something, if you want to get something of real good return, in this case trading, it's going to take risk. And the risk that I'm talking about is in terms of time. We all have to invest some sort of time in order to be able to get good at something. No athlete or sports star or just anyone who's good at their job, they've obviously had to invest a lot of time in order to be able to, practice, do repetition, and just get good at what they're doing. And it's also the same thing with trading. So it's going to take a set number of years, and this is one thing that a lot of traders don't take into account when they first get into trading. They don't want to submit to the time, and it's pretty much just a rush to the finish line, pretty much. But they don't realize that this is actually going to backtrack their journey, and it's more so for them taking one step forward and kind of two steps back, because with wanting to rush and take shortcuts towards trying to get good at trading, you add a lot of unnecessary baggage to yourself, and that's one of the dangers in trying to get good at trading. You add baggage to yourself, and it takes a lot of hard work and self-realization to undo this mess that you've put on yourself. So as I've just mentioned, it's going to take time in order to become a good trader, right? And this usually means that you're going to have to submit to doing work, especially on days where you're especially not going to feel like doing it, like weekends. Weekends they can be your most productive days of the week. These are days where you can be reflecting, where you could be planning and studying. There's so much more you could be doing on weekends other than what the usual or what most people would want to do on weekends. You can put yourself well above the typical average of most people if you just decide to do one thing, and which is to just be disciplined and put in the work especially when you don't feel like it. It's going to be difficult, and it's going to feel directionless for a while, which is how I felt with trading. It's how I still feel with trading, especially with someone who doesn't feel like they're finding profitability, or when they're on the brink of giving up, just about to tap out. It's like, when is this all going to turn around? But this is one sort of phase that someone goes through when it's a sort of filter which takes out it weeds out all the people that are in the trading space that aren't willing to put in the hard work, right? They're going to be at a stage where they want to give up, and a lot of people would give up, and the ones who stick through it are going to be the ones who actually, prosper from the reward that trading gets them. In some people's eyes, this could be called insanity or delusion for wanting to carry on with something which doesn't even work after a few months or a year or two. But if you're passionate about trading and you have a really strong interest in it, you find yourself coming back to look at the charts every now and then, sticking it out for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and eventually seeing the results. You'll be getting a living and a life that most people wouldn't have gotten because they gave up, or they failed, or they just kept jumping from one thing to the next. I've come to the realization now that if I wanted to really achieve what most people couldn't, the life of pretty much of a top 5 or 1% person, then it means you're going to have to start doing things that are not like the majority. You have to stop doing things like the majority do, which means going out on weekends, spending your money, playing games, all these things that most people do. You have to cut out immediately. This is one of the first epiphanies that you need to have if you want to achieve some sort of life which is different from the normal, Like, some people are content with working a job or, clocking in and out. They're complacent with that, and they're content and they're happy. That's fine, but the reason why you're probably in trading is because you want something more than that. You've got some sort of ambition about you, and you want to achieve more, something that's better than what most people have. And so because of that, it's going to take some sort of risk, and unfortunately it means doing things which most people aren't willing to do. You have to be if you want to be like the top 5 or 1% of person, you've got to start doing things which aren't like the majority. You've got to start taking steps which are uncomfortable, putting in the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. And it's going to be difficult, it's going to be lonely, it's going to feel directionless for a while. But as long as you have a strong belief in yourself that you can do it, put faith in yourself and put faith in God, then in due time, I'm sure your life will turn around and you'll be grateful for the journey that you've had. It'll be something that you think about. It'll be a great story to tell. It's happened with myself similarly, where I've decided to step away from the norm of what most people do. So in general, people would graduate from uni, and then by then they would have already applied for jobs and they'd already have a graduate job lined up, and then they've started working. Now, the main reason why I decided to not go down that route was because I felt like it was going to be too good. And by that I mean a lot of the jobs in my field, which companies would offer. So I did engineering at university, right? Automotive engineering. And it was a passion of mine for cars and whatnot. And I really wanted to, when I was younger back in school, I wanted to work for a big car company. And when I heard about some people that I knew getting these sort of job roles, they were talking about how amazing it was inside the company, right? And this is why I believe it's the trap. These people are being offered money for joining them, and then they were being offered a good salary, and there were good incentives inside the company. And I'm just thinking, if this is what most people are doing, and they're being happy and they're being content and happy inside this job because of the incentives that it gives, I feel like it's a bit of a facade. I feel like it's a bit of a distraction away from what the actual reality is. Nowadays it's getting really difficult to live. Cost of living, inflation, all these things will eventually wear down on someone like them. And as much as they might feel comfortable knowing that their job probably pays decent, I don't think they realise that they've had the wool pulled over their eyes, to be honest. Having a job is, no matter what job it is, it's not going to be sustainable, to be honest. And having a job where you're confined to the time by how you're paid, hourly or by salary, it's not sustainable enough, to be honest. There are loads of people with high earning jobs who have gone into trading now because of the fact that it's not enough. Surgeons, doctors, lawyers, I'm sure there are plenty of those guys out there who have turned to trading because it's not enough. They need trading in order to be able to live to their means and make sure that they keep their head above water. I just realised I went on a bit of a tangent there, but my point is that I've decided to step away from the norm. I've not really decided to go straight for a full-time job because I've realised that it's not going to, it's a trap, I think, in my personal opinion. I mean, yeah, there are people with full-time jobs out there who have then left and then do trading, but me personally, I value my time, and the time that I've risked to be able to, get good at trading, which has been a number of years now, I'm not going to let that go to waste. And I've come so far now just to give up. And for me, moving to a job or being complacent inside a job and leaving trading I see that as failure. I see that as disingenuous to myself for all the hard work that I put in for a number of years. I had sleepless nights doing my university dissertation, doing my exams, revising for exams, while also studying trading for a reason. And that was because I wanted to live life which is different from everyone else. When I hear people talking about the struggles that they're having in their own life, struggling to pay the bills, talking about how, only being able to do things on the weekend is like a normal thing. Hearing my parents talking about experiences that they've always wanted to have, but they couldn't because we can't afford it. It's really disheartening. It's really sad. But some people talk about this like it's just a normal thing, and they're not willing to take action and do something about it. But I'm sure someone who's decided to get into trading, you want to actually do something about this, and it's annoyed you to the point where you actually want to, just grab life by its head and just keep attacking life. You've obviously chose trading because you wanted to show people out there that there is a life outside of what the typical normal thing might be. You want to be able to provide the people that are close to you with the experiences that they want to have. So you decide to choose trading as this endeavour in order to start out. Well, that was everything I wanted to talk about in this video, and I didn't really have a sort of plan or a script of what I wanted to talk about in this video. It was more so just me kind of pouring out my heart and just showing things that I think about almost on a daily basis when it comes to just in terms of life, really. Because if things like this is constantly on your mind and it's making you take action about it, that already puts you well above the average of most people. Most people are happy with just working their job, clocking in and out, and then living for the weekend. But chances are, if you're watching this video, it's probably because you want something more than that, and you don't really want to abide by society standards. So yeah, that was everything I wanted to talk about in this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and keep pushing, but make sure you maintain your overall well-being. Stay happy, stay blessed. Thanks for watching.